So, what I thought I'd do today is to have a little talk about the two different phases I have here. One is the original 1970s version, and one is the 2006 reissue. Both look very, very similar. You'll notice that the original has two inputs on this side. This one only has one input here and output on that side. So that's an obvious visual difference. The other thing is that the label on this phaser has amp and instrument set on that side. There's no such labelling on this label, so that's a quick way of identifying it. Slightly different settings. This one has fast and slow phase and a modulation ring here, which is almost unusable, quite frankly, and phase depth. I've got it set on the slowest setting and about sort of halfway on the depth here. This one is very simple: speed, range, slow and fast, and phase depth. As I understand it, this appears to have slightly deeper and slightly slower phase settings on it, making it more easy to get the accurate phase settings that Brian used, which he pretty well set all the time. He didn't really use this button very much. It was on automatic all the time, and it was just set and left to do what it needed to do for most of his time. This one is a little less transparent. It is slightly harder to control, but arguably a better phaser in the fact from a guitarist's point of view, because it actually gives you quite a strong phase. One of the benefits of the older one is that it's more transparent, and so you kind of lose it as the guitar becomes louder and more power chords. You pick it up very clearly on lots of different solo notes, so that's where you can hear it more clearly on some of the things Brian did in those solos. As I understand it, with this particular phaser was the very first one. Another one came along which had a very small extra little circuit built into it, and then they did the second edition, which has a completely different circuit, and then finally in 2006 another company reproduced the reissue here. Totally different, all PCB. Works well, but isn't quite the same sound as this. So you can still get a pretty convincing phase setting for Brian on this. It's not identical, but it's still perfectly usable. So let's just have a listen to how the phase sounds, and then you can hear the differences in terms of speed and depth. So this is the slowest speed setting from the original 70s phaser. You can get it very fractionally slower if you push the little treadle in a little bit, pull this up, and you can actually get just a few more notches out of that if you want. If I roll this, I can increase the depth of the phase there. You hear a little bit of a change. And then if I bring this back up, roll that down, you can see the difference there, or hear the difference there, should I say. So let's have a quick listen to see how that compares to the slowest setting on the 2006. So instantly you can hear quite a difference. Let's get rid of some of that depth. But you can hear, if you play around with it, you can get a setting that is pretty similar. So it's not that far off. It's just it's a less controllable phase, if I'm honest. It's slightly harder. This one, the older one, is easier just to get. You just plug it in and there you go, and you're instantly 1970s Queen. But you can see just playing around with it a little bit. You can see how much more aggressive this one can be, and actually as a guitarist you know it will be quite a useful tool to have, really. Here's a little blast of the 2006, which I think you'll agree, with some careful adjustment, doesn't sound too bad for solos. Notice it is where that chord comes in, frankly. Here is the 70s version as a comparison. One more from the 2006 as a comparison. Here's the 70s version. Okay, well, I hope that that has helped a few people. It's been an interesting little demonstration. In some ways, it blows some of the myths about these things out, because you can get a pretty good, convincing sound out of the 2006 version. There's absolutely no doubt about that. It gets a little bit more messy in the power chords, I would say, and it's less transparent, but it's not bad. You can certainly do a good job with it. It's like a lot of things in the music industry. If you pay a lot more money, you get quite a small difference, but a noticeable difference. Same with amps, same with guitars, all of these things. It's like treble boosters. There is no doubt that a closer sound can be attained with the 70s version. It's easy, it's plug and play, stick it in and off you go, and it sounds amazing. And it is more transparent during the power chords. You do get more control over the guitar in that the phasing doesn't take over. Anyway, thought that would be interesting to some people, and let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks so much.